We are heading into what is historically one of the best times to be a seller in the Toronto real estate market. April, May, and really the first half of June are considered the spring market. And when I'm having conversations with potential sellers, one of the most frequent questions asked is, well, should we list now or should we wait until the spring? Because transaction volume is up. And typically, sale price is up as well. And interestingly enough, if you look at the Greater Toronto area, the first 6 months of the year, typically 70% of all sales happen then. So we're currently going into a time frame where there's going to be more transactions than there were earlier in the year. And this kind of got me thinking because we haven't had a regular spring market in a long time. And what I want to share with you in today's video, I joined Global News Morning bright and early yesterday to talk with them about the spring market and the predictions that I have for the spring market and advice both for buyers and sellers. And just before I show you that interview, because the questions they asked me in the interview, I actually didn't know they were going to ask, so I just gave my candid answer. But after recording that interview, there's a few things that I thought about after the fact. I think the first thing is that obviously there is still uncertainty out there. Yes, the sales volume is picking up. Yes, the prices are actually picking up from earlier in the year, but we're still way too early in the process here to actually know how everything is going to play out. I think we also have to remember that there are a lot of people that don't just want to move, but need to move because of life situations. And if they think they can get a better price in the spring, that's something they're going to consider. We also do need more inventory for the types of homes that people actually want to buy. I'm going to share the interview I did with Global News now, and hope you enjoy.
This tricky housing market, what is to come this spring, perhaps? We're joined by a real estate representative, Tom Story, a good friend of the show. We appreciate this, Tom. So let's talk about this. I mean, we've seen unpredictable markets. The past, how many months, almost a year, it's been really bizarre, really tricky. As we go into spring, what is your expectation?
Yeah, well, first of all, nice to see you. Thanks for having me back. I anticipate that this year is going to be our first quote unquote normal spring market that we've seen in probably 3 years. Like if you think back, 2020, we all know what happened. There was no normal spring market. 2021, the entire year was kind of craziness in terms of what was happening in the market. And then 2022, when the spring hit, rates started going up and prices started coming down. So this should be the most normal spring market we've seen in probably 4 years.
And when you say normal, are you referring to what it had been before? Because last year or the year before, it was just bonkers and people couldn't almost keep up. And it was almost, and when speaking to real estate agent friends of mine, they're saying, look, it was almost too much for them to keep up. So now is this sort of like calm? Because I'm looking at some of the numbers and there are some expectations that prices will still go down. There's still a really interesting question of how much supply is out there. So how would you characterize what's happening?
You know, the big thing that we're always going to talk about is inventory, because that's always going to come down to it. And if you're a buyer right now in the market, even though you hear that sales volume is down and prices is down year over year because of the interest rates, you're kind of like, well, where's the kind of property that I want to buy? That seems to be the issue. So I don't actually think that we have an overall inventory issue. I think we have an inventory issue for the type of properties that people actually want to buy, right? And that's kind of like that entry-level freehold housing where you don't have a condo fee, and then that condo market sub $600,000. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. I will say that I know a lot of people I'm talking to are preparing properties for the market. And the issue that we've had is that a lot of sellers earlier this year didn't want to come to the market because they were told that the market is bad, right? And it's not that bad. It's just certainly not what it was compared to last year.
But it's all also just putting your expectations in check, is it not? And I'm curious what you tell, what's the advice that you give both the sellers, your clients, the sellers and the buyers?
Yeah. So for buyers, the biggest piece of advice I would give is that you have to know the basic numbers of the pocket that you're looking to buy in. The macro numbers are great, but you want to know the neighborhood you're looking to buy in and the micro numbers. What's the average days on market? What's the list price versus sale price ratio, right? These are the things that you're going to want to know. And that even though you're going to hear terms like multiple offers coming back to the market, it's not what it was before. It's the same term, but kind of a different outcome. And with sellers, in the spring market, you're going to have also more competition than ever before. So take a bit more time on preparing your house, have it staged, get the extra painting done, do all those small things because it will make a difference on your sale price.
I want to throw some numbers at you and see if you can make sense of this, because we're looking at some of the expectations. Desjardins, for example, put out a report. They're saying, and TD's saying this as well, in some respects, that house prices are expected to go down by 25%. Is that putting it in context to what it was, and it's not necessarily as bad? Desjardins saying is, some of the steep drops. Bancroft seeing close to 50% drop. Mississauga, 23% drop. But interestingly, Toronto saw a 1.1% increase last month, year over year. How do you make sense of those numbers? What do you interpret from that?
Yeah, when you're hearing those numbers, what they're talking about is drop from the peak, right? So from that 1 month in time right before the rates started going up, and it makes sense. And if you look at markets that went up 100%, them dropping 50% isn't as crazy as markets that went up 20%, maybe dropping 10%, right? Although the numbers are a lot larger. And if you kind of look like, the core hubs, like if Toronto's the hub and you go outside, those markets outside increased a lot faster than the city. And that's why they're decreasing just as fast, because realistically, a lot of the money pumping into those markets was coming from the city. So I think if I'm a buyer or seller in today's market, the year over year numbers are good, but you're also comparing to a different time with different interest rates. I'd be really focusing on the month over month numbers in the area that I'm looking to either buy or sell in.
When we look at interest rates, because there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding that, and you look at the house price, people are almost just deterred by that in general. What advice would you give in terms of, we have about 30 seconds, in terms of just accepting that this is your monthly payment? You may not even eventually ever pay off the house, but if you can get a monthly payment on that, then we're okay.
Yeah, it looks like consumer confidence is slowly coming back to the real estate market, and the fact that Bank of Canada held on the last rate announcement. Now, we don't know what they're going to go moving forward, but I think what we really need to wrap our heads around is this is my monthly payment for the next period of time, and this is what I'm going to actually be able to afford. And then if you're not comfortable with it, don't get into the market. Like, don't feel that pressure to do so. Do it when you're ready.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure for a lot of times, so hopefully things will ease off. We appreciate this, Tom. As always, a pleasure. Tom Story, sales representative. See you soon.
Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you haven't already, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all soon.